Namo Adida Pha. Thanks for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The fifth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I vow to cultivate good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. I will ingest only items that preserve peace, well-being, and joy in my body and my consciousness, and in the collective body and consciousness of my family and society. I'm determined not to use alcohol or any other items that contain toxins, such as certain TV programs, magazines, books, films, and conversations. I am aware that to damage my body or my consciousness with these poisons is to betray my ancestors, my parents, my society, and future generations. I will work to transform violence, fear, anger, and confusion in myself and in society by practicing a diet for myself and for society. I understand that a proper diet is crucial for self-transformation and the transformation of society. For our Dharma lessons, we've been reading Ajahn Munindo's book, Unexpected Freedom. We're in a chapter now called The Power of Paradox, and a section opening to paradox. And so, even though there can appear to be a paradox or conflict, somewhere within us, we know that it's an apparent paradox, and that with mindfulness and restraint, we can allow it to be, without feeling driven into a reactive way of trying to solve it. This is why it's so important to purify our awareness of compulsive judging tendencies. So long as we're still habitually judging everything that comes up in our awareness, chronically judging, I shouldn't feel this way, I should feel that way, we are significantly obstructed in our ability to contemplate anything clearly. Even if our thoughts go in the opposite direction, if we're having a good experience and the mind is rejoicing, this is wonderful, this is how it should be, I'm doing great now. If we don't see this running commentary for what it is, then it's only a matter of time before we swing to thinking it shouldn't be like this and become lost again. So long as we're caught up in the compulsive judging mind, our capacity for meeting the paradoxes of life with clarity is very limited. Paradoxes will inevitably arise in our lives as human beings, and if we haven't discovered the heart's capacity for judgment-free awareness, then we are likely to turn towards outer forms for support. We will remain overly dependent on conventions and techniques, club membership, and beliefs. But with a real interest in developing our hearts and minds and freeing them from the type of conditioning that I have been describing, we won't shy away from what others might call a dilemma. We will approach it with a view to finding the awareness that can receive the experience, an all-embracing, non-reactive awareness. When we come across a paradox, instead of automatically turning to some external structure or clinging to some particular point of view to make us feel safe again, we actually engage with the paradox in a manner that increases the capacity for accommodating frustration. Frustration leads us to finding that increased capacity. Frustration is our friend in practice. If we get that message early on, it's a great blessing because sooner or later, all of us, not just once, but probably a good number of times, will reach a point of utter impossibility, where it seems there's nothing we can do about our situation. We reach a point where we feel all our techniques have been exhausted. We can't fix it, and yet we can't stop trying either. Ajahn Chah wrote a letter to Ajahn Sumedho after he'd been in Britain for a year or two. In this letter he wrote, "The Buddha Dhamma is not to be found in moving forwards, nor in moving backwards, nor in standing still. This, Sumedho, is your place of non-abiding." That's a truly helpful teaching. The numerous forms and techniques that we are taught have their place, but they are limited. If we don't understand the relative function of forms and we give them too much value, we run the risk of feeling betrayed by practice. We might think, I've been keeping my precepts and meditating. I've been going to the monastery and going on retreat, but I just can't help feeling betrayed and let down by it all. Buddhism has failed me, and, well, it's a foreign religion anyway. I shouldn't have messed with it in the first place. I've heard this said on more than one occasion. The truth of the matter, however, is that Buddhism is not a foreign religion. As you encounter Buddhism, you will undoubtedly find conventions and cultural forms that are Asian in character, but the outer forms are not the point. The point of Buddhism is truth, and truth is neither Asian nor Western. As we become acquainted with this possibility of living life without always taking a position on everything, the correspondingly increased sense of freedom emerges. To the degree that awareness is liberated from compulsive conditioning, there is an increase in the feeling that we have more room in which to move. And with that, we can think more clearly and feel more sensitively. The mind is not always afraid of being wrong or obsessed with being right. We've learned that those two go together and feed off each other. This somewhat more liberated mind can welcome difficulties and frustrations, seeing them without judgment as the natural way of the world. Such awareness knows where and when to skillfully apply structures and when to trust in the spirit of practice. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be at peace. Namo Adida Phat. Thanks so much for joining me today.